Welcome, deep divers. Think about it for a second. That moment your Wi-Fi just cuts out right when you're about to hit send.
Oh, yeah.
Or, when the barista spells your name so completely wrong, it feels, I don't know, weirdly personal.
Absolutely. More than just annoying.
Exactly. These little things, they aren't just minor inconveniences, are they? Sometimes they feel, well, bigger, like they're connected to something else, something deeper, maybe even significant.
Yeah, almost cosmic sometimes.
Right. And today, we're actually plunging right into that very feeling. Our source for this deep dive is this really unique guide. It's called How to Transform Minor Inconveniences into Extreme Existential Crises, a practical workbook for aspiring edgewalkers of all ages.
Quite a title.
It is. And look, this isn't about learning how to complain more or, wallowing in misery. Not at all. It's about consciously choosing to find profound meaning
Mm.
and maybe even a kind of twisted enlightenment in the mundane stuff. It's really about leveraging those everyday frustrations for something, well, transformative.
And what's really interesting right off the bat is how it defines its audience.
Mm.
It talks about the edgewalker,
Right.
which the source describes as one who lives at the threshold between laughter and despair, the sacred and the ridiculous.
I love that description.
Me too.
Mm.
And the whole book is this kind of paradox, isn't it? It invites us to take things that seem totally trivial.
Like the coffee thing.
Exactly.
Mm.
And reframe them as portals of transformation. It argues that by sort of consciously embracing these absurd, self-generated little crises, we can actually reach a new level of awareness, a radical awareness.
And that's basically our mission for this deep dive today. We're going to explore how this guide uses, well, dark humor, some really sharp existential clarity, and what it calls mythic instruction.
Which is like seeing your life as an epic story.
Oh, yeah, precisely. To help you, the listener, sort of reframe your daily frustrations, turn them into moments of real insight. We're aiming for what the book calls catastrophic enlightenment.
Catastrophic enlightenment. Okay.
Yeah, that kind of startling, maybe unsettling clarity that comes because of some small disaster, not despite it. This whole journey, the guide suggests, shows you how to use your sensitivity, which you might see as a bad thing, as a kind of superpower for understanding yourself and maybe the world a lot more deeply.
Okay, that sounds promising.
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this. Part 1 is called The Philosophy of the Inconvenience. And the guide, it just jumps right in with the sacred art of overreaction.
Doesn't pull any punches.
Not at all.
Ugh.
It says, pretty provocatively, the apocalypse begins when the barista spells your name wrong. I mean, that's quite a statement, isn't it? How does it connect spilled coffee to, like, the abyss?
Well, it's all about what the source calls the butterfly effect of inconvenience.
Okay.
The idea is that a small event, like, the barista messing up your name or maybe losing one sock in the dryer, it isn't just a small thing.
Yeah.
It's presented as something that can escalate potentially into what the guide calls a soul apocalypse.
Wow. Okay, why?
Because, as the guide argues, it kind of rips away our illusion of predictability, our sense of control. Think about slow Wi-Fi, that little spinning wheel,
Oh, the worst.
or forgetting a password right when you need it.
Yeah.
These aren't just irritations. The guide frames them as disruptions that can seriously disorient us. They throw our, carefully built daily routines into chaos.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments when the tiny gears of our day just grind to a halt that the whole facade of control we like to maintain just cracks open. It shows us how much we actually depend on things just working.
So if these little hiccups are gateways to this kind of disorientation, does the guide just say, okay, embrace the chaos? What even is an existential crisis in this context?
Yeah.
And why on earth would anyone want one every day?
Yeah, that's really the core of it. The guide actually gives a little philosophical context, mentioning Camus, Kierkegaard.
Like heavy hitters.
Right, but also refreshingly pop culture stuff like Donnie Darko.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it emphasizes that these moments when meaning seems to just unravel, that feeling of what's the point or why am I doing this, they aren't necessarily bad.
Okay.
They're framed as a powerful invitation, a call to deeper observation, a chance to really see beyond the surface level and engage with truths that might be uncomfortable, sure, but ultimately liberating.
Liberating. How so?
Well, the guide suggests that by regularly sort of inviting this feeling in small doses, we don't just get overwhelmed all the time. Instead, we build resilience. We build a heightened awareness of, the inherent absurdity, but also the beauty of just being alive.
And this book really leans into turning the mundane into something huge. I mean, I found myself actually kind of fascinated by the section on the ontology of the broken vending
Oh,
machine.
yeah, that was great.
It takes something so common, so frustrating, and makes it sound like this deep philosophical point.
Exactly. What's fascinating there is how it frames the breakdown of systems. Whether it's that vending machine that just ate your money, or some tech glitch, or even just a hiccup in your schedule, it's not just seen as bad luck.
Right.
The guide presents it as another powerful call to look deeper. These external failures are shown as potentially mirroring our own inner dissonance.
An inner dissonance, like internal conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Those little anxieties or unresolved things we carry around. And these external breakdowns, they lead us, the guide says, directly to meditations on entropy.
Entropy, like things falling apart.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just a way to say we get a chance to ponder how temporary everything is. You know, a reminder that nothing lasts, not even the promise of that candy bar behind the glass.
And it's not just theory, is it? The guide gives these really specific, sometimes funny exercises like mythologize the mishap. It asks you to retell something small, like your commute getting messed up, but in this grand, epic style, like it's the Odyssey or something.
Yeah, turning your traffic jam into a heroic struggle.
Or translating a tech error message into a cosmic parable, like the spinning wheel of death is actually, the universe pondering its next move.
Right. It forces a different perspective.
Totally. And there's that symbol decoder, too, which I thought was brilliant. It asks you to look at everyday things and find these deeper, sometimes absurd meanings.
Like the examples it gives.
Yeah. Spilled coffee becomes blood of forgotten dreams.
Okay.
And slow Wi-Fi is digital exile, disconnection from divine flow. It really makes you think about these things completely differently, maybe even laugh at them.
It definitely encourages a creative, almost playful approach to frustration.
Okay, so we've explored the philosophy, let our imaginations go a bit wild with these mundane catastrophes. Now let's get practical. This is where it gets really interesting with part 2. The workbook of catastrophic enlightenment, starting with something called micro-apocalypses as practice.
Right. So this section takes a list of really common inconveniences. Losing a sock, forgetting your keys, password fails.
Daily life, basically.
Pretty much. And it suggests reframing each one as a kind of rehearsal for ego death.
Ego death.
That
sounds drastic.
Well, the way the guide uses it here isn't necessarily terrifying. It's more about a temporary letting go of our self-importance,
Yeah.
our need for everything to go perfectly smoothly.
Ah, okay. Less dramatic.
A bit. And the main tool here is the Daily Meltdown Tracker worksheet. It's quite practical.
How does that work?
You basically rate your reaction to some small inconvenience on a scale from mild annoyance right up to spiritual collapse.
Wow, okay.
And this is the key part. You try to extract an insight from that reaction. It gives this great example. Spilled oat milk, emotional rating. 710, existential response. Why do I even try? Insight extracted. I fear irrelevance.
Huh. So you're turning your little dramas into data.
Exactly. Data for self-discovery. You start to see patterns in your gut reactions.
I actually really like that idea, tracking the meltdowns, finding the patterns, but then it suggests rituals of the everyday meltdown. Now, how on earth do you make stubbing your toe feel sacred? Some people might hear that and think it's just, making suffering seem cool.
That's a really valid point. And the guide is actually quite clear. This isn't about glorifying suffering itself. It's about reclaiming a sense of agency within the moment of frustration and consciously processing it.
Okay, how?
It suggests building these little sacred ceremonies around inconvenience, bringing intention and ritual to those moments that usually just make us angry or upset.
Like what kind of rituals?
It offers specific templates, which are kind of amusing but also pointed. Things like the Wi-Fi is out ceremony.
I need that one.
Right, where maybe you light a candle and just declare, I embrace the digital void or something. Or the sacred cue of infinite waiting for when you're stuck in line. Turning it into a forced meditation on patience, perhaps. And each ritual involves creating what it calls a scripted liturgy, like a short personal mantra or declaration you come up with. You say it, and then you conclude with a final line like, I am now free to be inconvenienced again.
Ah, so there's a release.
Exactly. The power isn't in the stubbed toe itself. It's in the deliberate act of acknowledging your reaction, processing it ritually, and then consciously letting it go.
And for those of us, let's be honest, who sometimes really feel things intensely, there's a section on archetypes of the overfeeler. This sounds like it gets quite personal, like understanding your specific brand of overreaction.
Absolutely. It introduces several archetypes you might identify with, like the inconvenient prophet, That's the person who sees every little problem as a sign of imminent doom.
I might know a few of those.
Or the sacred complainer, who finds a kind of spiritual release in just venting about what's wrong. Then there's the void screamer.
The void screamer?
Yeah, basically someone who just wants to yell into the abyss when the printer jams again.
Okay, I can relate to that one sometimes.
Right. So by figuring out which archetype, or maybe mix of archetypes, resonates with you, the guide suggests you start to understand your own mythic flaw, as it puts it.
Your mythic flaw.
Yeah, and you can approach your reactions with a bit more self-awareness, maybe even some humor. It's about recognizing the character you tend to play in your own everyday dramas and seeing what drives that character.
Okay, so we've embraced the meltdown, tracked our inner void screamers, maybe even done a little ceremony for our lost AirPods. How do we actually transform all this? That leads us to part 3, transmutation and transcendence. Starting with weaponized sensitivity sounds potent.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The guide argues that sensitivity, which is often seen, as a weakness in our culture,
definitely.
is actually a kind of superpower if you embrace it with a sense of irony and intention. It talks about harnessing what might feel like emotional overdrive.
Like when a tiny comment ruins your whole day.
Exactly that feeling. Harnessing that for creative liberation. Imagine channeling all that intense feeling, that perceived suffering, into something tangible. The guide cheekily suggests writing a manifesto titled, "I felt too much, and it saved my life."
Ah, okay.
So it's not about shutting down or numbing out. It's about directing that strong emotional current into something productive, maybe artistic, maybe just profoundly insightful for yourself.
Okay, I like that reframing. Then there's absurdity as divination. This sounds like trying to find cosmic messages in, like, burnt toast.
Pretty much. It's about finding meaning in the most unlikely, absurd places. The workbook suggests using divination practices, things normally used for big spiritual questions, to decode these petty disasters.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, like it suggests flipping a coin to decide the deeper cosmic meaning of why you lost your pen. Was it a test from the universe on detachment, a sign you need to write more? Or even using tarot cards to help you decide between cereal brands at the supermarket. Is this choice about comfort or adventure today?
Seriously. Serial tarot.
Yeah. It encourages this playful, but still potentially profound, search for meaning absolutely everywhere, no matter how small or silly it seems. It's about training yourself to see signs, connections, and narrative threads, even in the most frustratingly mundane stuff.
And finally, it all comes together with Toward the Meaningless Infinite, which sounds both bleak and kind of peaceful.
It's definitely got that paradoxical edge again. The ultimate goal laid out here is really to embrace the void, to be able to laugh right at the edge of meaninglessness, and then, crucially, to craft your own personal myth from a week of dumb problems.
Okay, how do you do that?
Well, the closing exercise is just brilliant, I think.
Yeah.
Asks you to create your epic of the mundane.
Your epic of the mundane.
Yeah, like a Homeric-style poem, but about your most minor inconvenience from the week. You elevate that lost car key or that maddening automated phone menu into this grand story, complete with heroic struggles, tragic setbacks, and ultimately some kind of personal triumph or understanding.
So you become the hero of your own tiny disaster story.
Exactly. It's about finding that grand narrative thread in the everyday grind, and through that, finding not just maybe peace, but a real sense of your own resilience and creativity.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for us, really? We've gone on this journey from just noticing our overreactions to maybe embracing them, tracking them, doing rituals, and finally trying to leverage them for some kind of deeper understanding. This whole deep dive, based on this unique guide, has shown us how these really trivial moments, these little cracks in our day, can actually be, well, portals. Portals to a kind of radical awareness.
Yeah, if we choose to look at them that way. If
Yeah.
you choose to feel through them rather than just react.
Right.
And it all kind of culminates in what the guide calls the Edgewalkers' oath.
The oath.
Yeah, it's framed as this profound invitation to keep living as if everything mattered deeply and simultaneously as if nothing mattered at all. Embracing that core paradox we talked about.
That's a tough balance.
It is. But it encourages you to find meaning and potential transformation in every single moment, no matter how frustrating or absurd or seemingly tiny it is. It really asks you, the listener, to think, how could you apply this perspective to your own life, to your own next minor inconvenience?
Maybe that next moment of frustration isn't just a problem.
Right, maybe it's a story waiting to happen, or a lesson you didn't know you needed.
And as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with this one quote from the source material. It's powerful and maybe a little unsettling. It just reads, "I screamed into the void. It offered me a customer service survey."
Wow. Yeah, that lands.
It does, right. So what does that quote and maybe this whole deep dive tell you about our modern lives, about how we cope when faced with this vast, maybe indifferent universe? Or maybe, what does it say about the void itself? Is it really empty or just full of automated responses and feedback forms? Something for you to chew on, perhaps, until our next deep dive.